Marcus stepped off the transport vessel onto Nexus Prime, and his heart began to beat very fast. He could see the sprawling orbital academy stretched out before him like a massive metal city floating in space. At 17 years old, he was the youngest human ever accepted into the Galactic Combat Academy, and he knew that every single eye would be watching him, judging him, waiting for him to fail and prove that humans did not belong here among the stars. The air inside the academy was cold and filled with strange sounds. Marcus walked through the training halls, which were vast and gleaming with advanced technology everywhere. His eyes moved from one thing to another, taking in everything. The halls were filled with aliens of every shape and size that he could imagine. Some were tall and thin, some were wide and covered in armor, and some did not even look like they had a real body at all. They floated or moved in ways that Marcus had never seen before in his entire life. A towering vortex with 4 strong arms stood near the entrance to the main training area. When the alien saw Marcus walking past, it made a sound that was something between a laugh and a growl. The vortex's mouth twisted into what looked like a sneer, and its 4 eyes followed Marcus with clear amusement and disrespect. Marcus wanted to stop and confront the alien, but he knew that would be a stupid thing to do on his very first day. He needed to be smart and careful. Further down the hall, Marcus passed a crystalline silicate being that looked like it was made entirely of living glass and glowing light. The creature hummed with a sound that was both beautiful and unsettling. Marcus was quite sure that this humming sound was laughter, the kind of laughter that came from a being that thought he was small and weak and had no business being here at all. He pushed his shoulders back and kept walking forward, trying to ignore the feeling that everyone around him was looking at him and thinking the same thing. Marcus had studied everything he could about this academy before arriving. He knew that the training here was intense and dangerous. He knew that students sometimes got hurt badly during their time here. He knew that the failure rate was very high, especially for species that were not naturally suited for combat or were from peaceful worlds. But Marcus was different. He came from Earth, a death world that most of the galaxy did not fully understand. Earth was a place where almost everything could kill you if you were not careful. Predators, extreme weather, diseases, accidents, and 1,000 other dangers waited around every corner. Humans had survived all of these things for thousands of years, and Marcus believed that this survival instinct ran deep in his blood. His assigned instructor was Vex Thar, a battle-scarred Krell warrior with a reputation that made even older students nervous. The Krell species was known for being tough, strong, and having little patience for weakness or excuses. Vexthar's face was marked with deep scars from old battles. One of his eyes was a bright artificial replacement that glowed a pale blue color. His body was massive and covered in thick muscle and hard armor that seemed to be part of his own skin. On their first meeting, Vexthar barely glanced at Marcus when the boy entered his office. The instructor was reviewing holographic files of other students, his attention completely focused on the glowing images in front of him. Marcus stood there waiting, unsure if he should speak or simply stand quietly. After what felt like a very long time, Vexthar finally turned to look at the human boy. "You are small," Vexthar said flatly, his voice deep and rough like stones grinding together. "Fragile. You move like prey animal. Why are you here?" Marcus had prepared himself for this moment. He knew that his size would be an issue. Compared to most of the species at this academy, humans were quite small and did not have the natural strength of beings that weighed twice as much or had more limbs. But Marcus had something else. He had determination and a mind that could think quickly and adapt to any situation. "Because I am capable of more than you think," Marcus said, and he met Vexthar's gaze without looking away or showing fear. His voice was steady and calm, even though his hands were shaking a little bit. "I come from a world where survival is not easy. I come from a world where weakness means death. I have trained my entire life to be stronger and faster. I am here because I deserve to be here." Vexthar's mandibles clicked together in a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been something else entirely. It was hard for Marcus to read the expressions of alien beings, and he was still learning to understand the different sounds they made and what those sounds meant. "We shall see," Vexthar said, and then he turned back to his holographic files. "You will begin training tomorrow at dawn. Do not be late. Do not complain. Do not make excuses. There is only success or failure here. Nothing else matters." Marcus left the office and made his way to the dormitory where he would be living. His room was small but clean, with a simple bed, a desk, and a window that looked out onto the vast darkness of space. He could see stars out there, millions of them, and he thought about how far he was from Earth now. He thought about his family back home, who had been so proud when he told them he had been accepted to this academy. They believed in him. They thought he could do this. Marcus lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow his real training would begin. Tomorrow he would have to prove that a human boy from a small planet in a distant part of the galaxy could compete with aliens from advanced civilizations who had been training for this their entire lives. It seemed impossible when he thought about it too hard, so Marcus decided not to think about it anymore. Instead, he closed his eyes and tried to sleep, knowing that tomorrow would change everything. 3 weeks had passed since Marcus began his training at the Galactic Combat Academy, and every single day had been harder than the last. Vexthar pushed him to his absolute limits and then pushed him even further. The Krell instructor seemed to take special pleasure in finding new ways to make Marcus fail and struggle. But Marcus refused to give up. He woke up early every morning, trained hard all day long, and fell asleep exhausted every night. Slowly he was getting stronger. Slowly he was proving that he belonged here. On this particular day, Vexthar made an announcement that made Marcus's stomach feel tight with worry. There would be a public sparring demonstration in the main arena. Students from all levels would watch. Other instructors would observe. And Marcus would be fighting in front of everyone. Vexthar called him over after the morning training session and told him who his opponent would be. "You will face Krogan," Vexthar said, pointing to a massive Vorthak who stood on the other side of the training hall. "He is strong. He is fast. He has won every match he has fought in the past 6 months. This will be good for you. You will learn what real power looks like." Marcus looked at Krogan and felt his confidence shake a little bit. The Vorthak was enormous, standing nearly 7 feet tall with rippling muscles that seemed to move under his purple skin even when he was standing still. Krogan had 4 arms, which meant he had twice as many places to throw punches from. The alien's mouth twisted into a cruel grin when he saw Marcus looking at him. Krogan raised one of his massive hands and made a crushing motion with his fingers, as if he was squeezing something small and weak. The message was clear. This would not be a fair fight. The day of the demonstration arrived. The main arena was a huge circular space with walls that rose high above the fighting floor. Hundreds of students filled the seats that ringed the arena. Marcus could hear them talking and betting with each other about how the fight would go. Most of them seemed quite certain that Marcus would lose very quickly. Some were placing bets on how many seconds it would take before he hit the ground. Marcus entered the arena wearing his training uniform, a simple gray outfit that covered his body but left his arms and legs free to move. He could feel thousands of eyes looking down at him from the seats above. He could feel the weight of their expectations and their doubts pressing down on him like a physical force. He took a deep breath and tried to calm his racing heart. Krogan entered the arena from the opposite side, and the crowd made sounds of excitement. The Vorthak was even larger up close than he had seen from across the training hall. His 4 arms were thick and powerful, covered in blue veins that showed his incredible strength. His teeth were sharp and yellow, and he was grinning as if he was about to have the easiest fight of his entire life. Vexthar stood between them, raising his hand to signal the start of the match. "Begin," the Krell instructor said, and his hand dropped sharply. The fight began immediately. Krogan did not waste any time. He charged forward with terrifying speed for a creature so large. Marcus knew that he could not possibly match the Vorthak's strength, so he had to use speed and intelligence instead. He rolled to the side, diving out of the way of Krogan's first attack. The alien's massive fist crashed into the ground where Marcus had been standing just a moment before, leaving a deep crack in the arena floor. Marcus ran, keeping his distance from his opponent. He could hear the crowd making sounds of disappointment. They wanted to see a real fight, not a chase. But Marcus was thinking clearly, watching Krogan's movements, looking for patterns and weaknesses. Every creature had patterns. Every fighter had habits. Marcus just needed to find them. Krogan threw another punch and Marcus ducked under it. The Vorthak threw a second punch with one of his other arms, trying to catch Marcus while he was low. Marcus jumped backward and the fist missed him by just a few inches. He could feel the wind from the punch brush against his face, and he realized how close he had come to being hit. One solid blow from one of Krogan's fists would break bones and cause serious damage. The fight continued for several minutes. Marcus moved constantly, ducking and rolling and running, avoiding Krogan's attacks. But he was not attacking back. He was not fighting. He was just trying to survive. After a while, Vexthar began to look angry. The crowd began to boo and shout insults at Marcus. Finally, Marcus saw his opportunity. Krogan had become frustrated and angry, and his attacks were becoming more wild and less controlled. The Vorthak threw a massive punch with all 4 arms swinging at once, trying to end the fight with one overwhelming attack. Marcus saw the opening. He stepped inside Krogan's defenses and threw a powerful kick at the alien's knee. His foot connected with solid impact, and Krogan stumbled backward, pain showing in his expression for the first time. But before Marcus could follow up with another attack, Vex-Thar suddenly stepped between them. The Krell instructor's face was dark with anger. "You will yield," Vex-Thar commanded, his voice loud and harsh. "You refuse to obey direct orders. You run from your opponent like a coward. You show disrespect to this academy." Marcus was breathing hard from the fight. He wanted to keep going. He wanted to prove that he could win this match. He wanted to show everyone that humans were not weak. But he knew that arguing with Vex-Thar would be a serious mistake. "I will not yield," Marcus said, and his voice was strong and determined. "I can still fight. I am not beaten." Vex-Thar's mandibles clicked together, and his artificial eye glowed brighter. His massive hand rose into the air, and Marcus realized a second too late what was about to happen. The Krell instructor's palm came down like a meteor falling from the sky. The slap was meant to be a simple disciplinary blow, a punishment for disobedience. But what happened next would change everything. The impact was tremendous. Marcus's entire body whipped sideways with terrifying force. His spine bent at an angle that should have been impossible for any living creature. For just a moment, the entire arena went completely silent. Then came the sound. A sharp crack that echoed through the space like thunder. Marcus crumpled to the ground, his body limp and motionless. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. The crowd gasped. Medical teams began to run toward the arena. And Vex-Thar stood frozen, realizing what he had just done. The medical bay on Nexus Prime was the most advanced medical facility in the entire galaxy. Machines beeped and hummed constantly. Lights flashed in different colors, each one indicating something important about a patient's condition. When Marcus was rushed through the doors on a floating stretcher, the entire medical team went into emergency mode. Alarms sounded. Doors slid open. Medical robots moved quickly from one station to another, preparing equipment and machines that would have seemed like magic to someone from an earlier time in human history. Dr. Helena was the chief physician of the academy, and she had treated thousands of alien patients over her long career. She was a tall being with smooth blue skin and 4 delicate hands that moved with incredible precision. When she saw Marcus being brought in, she took one look at the scan results and her expression became very serious and concerned. She had seen many injuries in her life, but this one was severe. This one was the kind of injury that usually meant death or permanent paralysis for most species. "Get me a full neural scan," Dr. Helena commanded, and her team moved quickly to obey. "I need to see the exact location of every fracture. Check for spinal cord damage. Check for internal bleeding. Run every test we have available." Marcus was unconscious, and that was probably a mercy. If he had been awake, he would have felt pain beyond anything he had ever experienced in his entire life. His neck was bent at an unnatural angle. Medical machines surrounded him, beeping and flashing as they analyzed every part of his body. Tubes were inserted into his arms to deliver medicine and fluids. A breathing apparatus was placed over his face to help him breathe while his body was so severely injured. Hours passed. Dr. Helena and her team worked without stopping. They performed scans and studied the results. They consulted with medical experts from other parts of the galaxy using communication devices. Everyone seemed to agree on one thing: the human boy's injuries were catastrophic. His neck was broken in multiple places. Several of his vertebrae were completely shattered. The spinal cord itself had been severely damaged. No one expected him to survive the night. But then something unexpected began to happen. As Dr. Helena reviewed the latest scan results, she noticed something strange. The fractures in Marcus's spine were beginning to align themselves. The broken pieces were moving slightly, as if they were being pulled back into their correct positions by an invisible force. She looked at the scan again, thinking that perhaps the machine was making an error. But the results were clear and consistent. Marcus's body was healing itself. "This is not possible," Dr. Helena whispered to herself. She called over her senior medical assistant, a brilliant silicate being named Crystal who had worked with Dr. Helena for many years. "Look at these scans. Tell me what you see." Crystal studied the images carefully, her crystalline body glowing softly as she concentrated. "The vertebrae are realigning," she said slowly. "The fractures are closing. The cellular regeneration rate is. I have never seen anything like this in any species. The rate of healing is approximately 100 times faster than normal. This patient should be dead, but instead, his body is repairing the damage." Over the next few hours, Marcus's condition improved steadily and remarkably. The swelling in his neck began to decrease. The bleeding stopped. The bones continued to knit themselves back together at an impossible speed. By the end of the first day, Marcus's condition had changed from critical to stable. By the end of the second day, The fractures had healed enough that he was no longer in immediate danger of death. By the end of the third day he was beginning to wake up. When Marcus finally opened his eyes, Dr. Helena was standing beside his medical bed, watching him carefully. The human boy's neck was stiff and painful, but he could move it. He could feel his arms and legs. He was not paralyzed. He was not dead. He was alive. "Welcome back," Dr. Helena said gently. "You have been sleeping for 3 days. How do you feel?" Marcus tried to speak, but his throat was very dry. Dr. Helena gave him water through a special tube, and he managed to whisper a few words. "What happened? Why does everything hurt?" "You were very badly injured," Dr. Helena explained. "Your neck was broken in several places. Most species would have died or become permanently paralyzed from such an injury. But you did not. Your body healed itself at a rate that I have never seen before in my entire medical career." Over the next few days, as Marcus recovered more and more, Dr. Helena began to study his biology very carefully. She ran test after test, analyzing his cells and his DNA and everything about his body at the most basic level. What she discovered was remarkable and changed everything about how the galaxy understood humans. "Your species evolved on Earth," Dr. Helena explained to Marcus during one of her examinations. "Earth is what we call a death world. Almost everything on your planet is dangerous. Predators hunt humans. Weather can kill humans. Diseases can kill humans. Accidents and injuries happen constantly. Your species has survived on this dangerous world for millions of years, and that survival has changed your biology fundamentally." Dr. Helena continued, "Your spines are extremely flexible, much more so than most species. This flexibility allows your body to absorb impacts that would break the bones of other creatures. Your cells regenerate at a much faster rate than normal. Your bodies have developed incredible pain tolerance. You heal from injuries that would be fatal to almost any other species. You are not fragile humans. You are Deathworlders. This is what Deathworlders look like." News of Marcus's recovery spread through Nexus Prime like wildfire. Within hours, every other academy on every other space station in the galaxy had heard about the human boy who had broken his neck and survived. The story grew larger and more dramatic with each telling. Some people said Marcus had been dead for 3 days before coming back to life. Others said his body was now made of unbreakable material. Some claimed that humans were actually aliens in disguise, sent to the galaxy to conquer all other species. The truth was simpler but no less incredible. Humans were survivors. Humans were Deathworlders. And the galaxy was about to learn exactly what that meant. When Marcus finally left the medical bay and returned to the academy, people looked at him differently now. The Vorthak who had sneered at him on his first day now nodded respectfully. The silicate beings who had laughed at him now studied him with genuine curiosity. Vexthar appeared at his door one evening, and the Krell instructor's expression was complicated and difficult to read. "I misjudged you," Vexthar said simply. And for the first time, Marcus heard something that sounded like genuine respect in the alien's deep voice. Marcus returned to active training 2 weeks after leaving the medical bay, and everything had changed. The other students no longer looked at him with amusement or disrespect. When he walked through the academy halls, they moved aside and watched him pass with expressions of curiosity and something that looked like fear. Some of them wanted to talk to him, to ask him questions about what it felt like to have a broken neck and survive. But Marcus was still getting used to being alive, and he was not ready to be a celebrity or a curiosity. Vexthar summoned Marcus to his office on the first day back. Marcus walked through the corridors nervously, wondering what the Krell instructor would say or do. Part of him was still angry about what had happened in the arena. Part of him understood that Vexthar had not meant for something so serious to happen. When he entered the office, Vexthar was standing at the window, looking out into the darkness of space. The artificial eye glowed softly in the dim light. "Sit," Vexthar said without turning around. Marcus sat in the chair across from the instructor's desk and waited. For a long time Vexthar said nothing. He just continued to look out the window. Finally, he turned to face Marcus, and his expression was serious and thoughtful. "I have been thinking about what happened," Vexthar said slowly. "I have been thinking about how you survived an injury that should have killed you. I have been studying the medical reports about your body and your species. I realize now that I did not understand what I was teaching. I did not understand what you were. I misjudged you, and my misjudgment nearly cost you your life." Marcus listened carefully. He had expected Vexthar to make excuses or to blame him for not obeying orders quickly enough. But the Krell instructor seemed genuinely sorry and genuinely interested in understanding what had happened. "Tell me about Earth," Vexthar said. "Tell me about your world." Tell me why your body is so different from other species. Tell me how humans survived on a death world. So Marcus began to talk. He told Vexthar about Earth's dangerous environment. He described the large predators that hunted humans in ancient times, creatures with teeth and claws that could tear a person apart. He explained about earthquakes and hurricanes and tsunamis, natural disasters that could destroy entire communities in moments. He talked about diseases and viruses that had killed millions of humans throughout history. He described how humans had learned to think and plan and work together to survive all of these threats. On Earth, Marcus said, if you are weak, you die. If you cannot adapt to new situations, you die. If you cannot tolerate pain and keep moving forward, you die. Every single human who is alive today is descended from ancestors who survived incredible challenges and impossible situations. That survival is written into our bodies and our minds. Vexthar listened intently, his mandibles clicking occasionally as he processed this information. When Marcus finished speaking, the Krell instructor nodded slowly. This explains much, Vexthar said. Your flexibility, your healing ability, your refusal to yield even when you are clearly outmatched. These are not weaknesses. These are the strengths of a species that has learned to survive against overwhelming odds. I have been training you as if you were a fragile creature from a peaceful world. I have been wrong. Over the following weeks, Vexthar's approach to training Marcus changed completely. Instead of trying to break him down and make him stronger through punishment and harsh criticism, Vexthar began to teach him real techniques. The Krell instructor started studying human biology and human history more carefully. He learned about human psychology and the human ability to push through pain and exhaustion. He learned about human creativity and adaptability. Humans think differently, Vexthar told Marcus during one training session. Your mind works in ways that are unexpected to other species. You use tricks and intelligence where others use raw strength. This is not a weakness. This is an advantage. Other students began to notice the change in how Vexthar treated Marcus. A female silicate named Crystal approached Marcus in the cafeteria one day and asked if she could study his fighting techniques. A young Zarithi named Vincent, who was from a venomous species and usually kept to himself, asked Marcus if he would teach him about human pain management methods. A massive Krell warrior named Stone wanted to know how humans develop such powerful legs for running and jumping. Marcus found himself becoming something unexpected. He was not just a trainee anymore. He was becoming a teacher. He was becoming a bridge between humanity and the rest of the galaxy. Students from different species would come to him with questions about how humans did things differently. How did humans fight without relying on natural weapons? How did humans build strength when they had no natural armor? How did humans move so efficiently with only 2 legs and 2 arms? Marcus realized that his survival had proven something important to the entire academy. Humans were not weak. Humans were not fragile. Humans were different, but different did not mean inferior. Different meant unique. Different meant valuable. One afternoon, as Marcus was leaving the training hall, Vexthar called him over. The Krell instructor was holding a data pad, and on the screen was a message from the academy's leadership. Marcus read the words and felt pride swell in his chest. You have been selected for advanced combat training, Vexthar said. The leadership wants to understand more about human combat tactics and human psychology. They want to prepare other humans for entry into the academy. You will help with this. You will be more than just a student now. You will be an ambassador for your species. Marcus nodded, understanding the weight of this responsibility. He thought about Earth and about all the humans who had never had the chance to see the stars. He thought about how his broken neck and his miraculous recovery had changed everything. He thought about how much still needed to be learned and understood. I am ready, Marcus said. And he meant it with every fiber of his being. 6 months had passed since Marcus had returned to active training after his near-fatal injury. 6 months of hard work, constant learning, and pushing his body and mind to their absolute limits. The academy was preparing for its graduation ceremony, and Marcus was one of the students who would be receiving their certification as an elite combatant. This certification meant that he was now qualified to work for any of the major galactic factions. It meant that he was no longer just a trainee. He was a warrior. The graduation ceremony took place in the Great Hall, a massive chamber that could hold thousands of people. The walls were made of transparent material, so graduates could see the stars beyond the station. Thousands of academy officials, military commanders, politicians, and important beings from across the galaxy had come to watch the ceremony. They had come because they had heard the story of the human boy who had broken his neck and survived. They had come because they wanted to see what Deathworlders looked like and what they were capable of doing. Marcus stood in line with the other graduating students, wearing the formal academy uniform. His uniform was white and blue, with symbols on the sleeves indicating his achievement level and the disciplines in which he had excelled. He felt nervous but also proud. He thought about how far he had come from that first day when everyone had laughed at him and doubted his abilities. The academy director, a wise being named Counselor Thorn who came from a species of insectoids, began to call out the names of the graduates one by one. As each student was called, they would walk to the center of the hall to receive their certification and their medal. Some received medals of achievement. Some received medals of valor. Some received special recognitions for outstanding performance. When Marcus's name was called, the entire hall went silent. He walked to the center slowly and carefully, aware that thousands of eyes were watching him. Counselor Thorn looked at Marcus with deep respect in his large compound eyes. "Marcus of Earth," Counselor Thorn said, his voice amplified so that everyone could hear clearly. "You have demonstrated exceptional courage, intelligence, and determination throughout your time at this academy. You have overcome challenges that would have broken the spirit of most beings. You have taught us that strength comes in many forms. You have proven that humans are capable of greatness." Counselor Thorn placed a medal around Marcus's neck. But this was not just any medal. This was the Medal of Valor, one of the highest honors that the academy could give. This medal was rarely awarded to first-year graduates. This medal was meant for those who had done something extraordinary, something that changed the way others thought about themselves and their abilities. The hall erupted in sounds of approval and excitement. Beings from dozens of different species made their own unique sounds of celebration and respect. Some clicked their mandibles. Some hummed with harmonic tones. Some simply shouted their approval in languages that Marcus did not understand. But he understood the meaning. They were celebrating him. They were celebrating what he represented. After the formal ceremony ended, there was a celebration in the academy's main reception hall. Food and drinks were provided. Important military leaders and political figures moved through the crowd, greeting the graduates and congratulating them. Marcus stood near a window, trying to find a quiet moment to process everything that was happening. He was looking out at the stars when Vexthar approached him. The Krell instructor was wearing formal clothing that Marcus had never seen before. Vexthar's massive form seemed somehow different when he was not in his training armor. But his expression was still serious and focused. "You have done well," Vexthar said simply. "Better than I expected. Better than anyone expected." "Thank you for teaching me," Marcus said, and he meant it sincerely. Without Vexthar's guidance and eventual respect, Marcus did not know if he would have survived the academy at all. "You have taught me as much as I have taught you," Vexthar replied. His mandibles clicked, and what Marcus had learned was a sound of genuine respect and perhaps even affection. "You have shown me that strength is not just about having the biggest muscles or the sharpest claws. You have shown me that intelligence and determination and the refusal to give up are their own forms of strength. Your species will change the galaxy. This I am certain of now." Other people approached Marcus throughout the evening. Crystal, the silicate female who had asked to learn about human combat techniques, came over to congratulate him. She told him that she had been accepted into an advanced program where she would be studying the biology and combat methods of various Deathworld species. Vincent, the young Zarithi, mentioned that he had been recruited by a military faction specifically because he had learned human fighting techniques from Marcus. Stone, the massive Krell warrior, simply nodded with respect and told Marcus that he looked forward to possibly fighting alongside humans in the future. Late in the evening, Marcus stepped outside onto one of the station's observation decks. He could see Earth from here, a small blue dot in the vast darkness of space. He thought about his family back home and wondered if they knew that he had graduated. He wondered if they were proud of him. He wondered how long it would be before humans became a common sight in the galactic military and government. Dr. Helena found him there, standing quietly and looking at his home world. The blue-skinned physician came to stand beside him at the railing. "I received a message from the Galactic Defense Force," Dr. Helena said. "They want to recruit you as a specialist instructor. They want you to train other humans who will be coming to the academy in the future. They want your expertise on Deathworld biology and psychology. They believe that humans will become one of the most important military assets in the galaxy within the next few years." Marcus turned to look at Dr. Helena. "Why are they telling you this?" he asked. "Because I am recommending you for the position," Dr. Helena said with what might have been a smile. "And because I wanted you to know that your broken neck, as terrible as it was, has changed the course of history. The entire galaxy is now aware that Deathworlders exist and that they are valuable and powerful. Other Deathworld species are now asking to send their people to the academy as well. One of the most important discoveries of the century has been made because of what happened to you. Marcus looked back out at Earth, that small blue dot so far away. He thought about his broken neck and the impossible recovery. He thought about Vexthar's respect and the other students learning from him. He thought about everything that had happened in just 6 months. "I am ready," Marcus said, and he meant it with absolute certainty. "I am ready to help my people find their place among the stars. I am ready to show the galaxy what humans can do." The stars shone brightly above Nexus Prime, and Marcus understood that his life had changed forever. The Deathworlder from Earth had found his purpose. The impossible had become possible. And the future was waiting for him to shape it.